Hello, everybody. Well, if you're hearing this, it means I'm out of Facebook jail. But don't be surprised if I'm back in there. For those of you who don't know, I got put in Facebook jail for 7 days for saying the word B-U-R-N. And the reason I'm spelling it instead of saying it is because we don't know who's lurking and who's going to report us for such a dastardly deed as saying B-U-R-N, a word that is as old as the English language or any language since the beginning of time. I mean, the Big Bang explosion theory, pretty much, that word would have had to have been used in order for that to have happened, I guess. But anyway, Facebook and their genius brain trust that they hire to work for them, so that it was they didn't even really tell me what category it fell under, threatening or what it was that they decided. Just, it was my day. I'd been back out of Facebook jail for probably, I don't know, a couple of days or something. So they thought, I'm a repeat offender. But anyway, I'll be back as long as they let me. And when they ban me again, I'll take my ban and I'll come back again. And if I have to, I'll make another page. I know a lot of people have followed me because of the name that my page is, CMC Liar Scammer, whatever it is. Before that, it wasn't. I didn't intend for the page to be entirely about her or to focus solely on her. So I'm thinking about changing my name back or finding another name. Maybe I'll just change it every 60 days just to rock Facebook's world. So if anybody has any good suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Otherwise, I've been making videos on my YouTube channel, and I want to say thanks to the 2 or 3 of you who took the time to come over and comment and watch my videos. My YouTube is a little bit more personal. I talk a little bit more about my own personal experience with a narcissist and what I went through. And I know lately it seems I've been kind of backtracking and talking about the actual relationship with him and the horrible things that happened during that relationship and afterwards. The reason, I guess, is because the reason that this subject has come up recently is because without pointing a finger directly at her, it seems that she had recently brought up body shaming. And I'm thinking that was some comments that were made about AKD and the picture of her and AKD. And people were saying they didn't realize that AKD had gotten a little plumper. And I'm not here to disparage her or to say anything bad about that. I'm saying that was what I took it as. CMC was talking about that, body shaming. But then she turned around and did the exact same thing to Shane. Talking about Shane being his height. And I'm not going to say the word she used, but just saying that he was short and that, that was shameful. And she was saying it in such a derogatory way as to shame him. Because we all know that most men have this kind of problem with they have problems with their body image the same as women do. And for men, a lot of it has to do with height or their hair. If they go bald, they see it as this really shameful kind of, just like some women, have bigger butts or bigger boobs or bigger feet or whatever. But you can't point a finger at somebody and say shame on you for making somebody feel bad about their appearance, and then you turn around and do the exact same thing to somebody else. It's like rules for me, but not for thee, or rules for thee, but not for me. And that's kind of the way I feel about this Facebook 7-day Facebook jail time that I just did, because other people were using the exact same word. And I could see here, if I counted the number of times I've seen that word in the 7-day ban, I mean, I would be looking at thousands and thousands of times. And it's like the emojis. People have been getting warnings for using emojis in sentences, I guess because of the context of the emoji. They're being reported. But yet Facebook provides these emojis for people to use. Someone last night had showed, I guess maybe I saw it this morning, had showed a picture of a warning that they had gotten from Facebook for a post that they had made like a year ago. That Facebook said that went against their standards, but they reviewed it and decided not to ban them because, you know, sometimes mistakes happen, so they overturned it. I've had one thing overturned on me, and that was way, way back at the beginning of like election time back in 2020. Really early in the first part of 2020. And a friend of mine had said something about, remember back in the old days when people would go and pick people up and drive them to the polls to vote. And a friend of mine said, I can remember my dad going out and picking people up and driving them to the polls to vote. And I said something kind of sarcastic and smarmy, as I've been known to do once or twice in my life. I said something like, yeah, but only if they voted for who he wanted. Otherwise, I can't remember how I worded it, but I said, otherwise he took them and dropped them off in the backwoods or something to that effect. It wasn't even, it was just a joke. And Facebook was like, warning, 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 blah, blah, blah. These flashing blue lights or red lights. And I said, what the hell? And at that time, I was given the option to dispute it. And they said, okay, we understand. And they overturned it. But I don't even get that option anymore. Now when I get a ban, I just get a ban. I don't get, there's, like last night people were saying go and mass report. And they were showing how to do it. Well, I tried it on my phone, and I shook my phone, and a category did pop up where you could type, but it wouldn't let me. Every time it would pop up, and my keyboard would just disappear, and I never could get to text or type anything in that little category. And it wasn't on this account; it was on my regular Facebook account, and I'm not banned under that so far. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about that. It's one of the reasons why I got back into talking about body image. And the last couple of videos I've made for YouTube have been somewhat adult in nature. And the reason being is because I follow these pages or these channels on YouTube that I've been following since all this started for me, when I first started to learn about narcissism and talk about it. This one woman was talking a while back, well, in the last week or so, and was talking about how, the new supply. Okay, for those of you who don't know about the whole terminology of narcissism, when you are a victim of a narcissist, when you become involved with a narcissist, you are known as supply. Whatever it is that the narcissist has targeted you for. And they target different people for different purposes. Just as some certain narcissists that we all know, see every day, targets elderly people or women who maybe are widowed or who have just recently you know, gotten a divorce. They're kind of lonely. They're kind of alone. They kind of feel sorry for her, and they're kind of going through something similar, so they have empathy for her. And they say to her, you know, I know what you're going through. That's a target for her, because she sees somebody over here who doesn't have a husband who's going to say, wait a minute, where are you sending this money to again? You know, who took this $100 out of the bank? Where did this go? Not that men control our money, but if you're in a marriage or a relationship and you share things equally, you wouldn't want your husband taking money out and not telling you where it went. And a lot of couples do sit down and go over their finances together and say, you know, I'm going to take an extra $50 out to donate to this charity, or I'm going to take an extra $100 out this week to buy some new towels or whatever for the house. You know, you don't necessarily talk about every little detail of every little thing that you spend, but you're not secretive about it either. And if you're being secretive about it, then you got other issues to worry about. But anyway, the new person in a narcissist's life, whether it's a boyfriend, girlfriend, couple, someone's pulling in here. Hang on just a minute. Let me pause this. Okay, sorry about that. Someone pulled in beside me, and I didn't want them to think I was a cuckoo bird. Sitting here talking to myself, even though I am, basically. But if you're involved with a narcissist, for some reason, you're a new supply for them. And mostly, in the circles that I have followed, and the channels that I have followed, and the people I've interacted with on YouTube about this, it's mostly couples. Because that's the angle that I come into, to learn about narcissism from, the viewpoint of someone who was involved with a man who was a narcissist. And so, the new supply could be the new girlfriend, the new wife, the new boyfriend, the new husband, the new lover, whatever it might be. So this girl, she'd made a video a while back, and she was talking about the new supply. And this is something that it's kind of a phenomenon. And every single person who's been involved with a narcissist agrees, or if they don't agree, they I don't know. I guess if they did a poll, the majority of them would agree. That when the narcissist discards you and goes on to someone new, that person is a downgrade. Now, it may just be, and I've thought about this quite a bit, and I thought, well, are we just so jealous that we see them as a downgrade? Do we see them as like an opponent, so we think, gosh, what does he see in them that he didn't see in me? And you will ask yourself that. You will ask yourself that very many times. But here's the thing. And I hate to even say this, because it comes across as condescending and like, what's the word? Conceited. And I'm not that kind of person. I'm really not. I don't body shame people, or at least I try not to. No, I've been guilty of it. We all have. We see somebody with odd ears or a weird nose, or a weird-looking body, and we laugh about it. We make jokes about it. It's human nature, and people probably find stuff about us that they find funny and they make jokes about, too. But with this new woman that my ex had gotten involved with, I had seen pictures of her before. We had a lot of mutual friends on social media, so I kind of had access to see what she looked like. And I kept wondering, do I not know this woman? Have I never met this woman before? Because we do have so many mutual people in common. I thought, maybe I have, and I just didn't remember her. And you will go through this period right when you first find out that they're involved with somebody new, where you feel like the uglier person. You feel like the downgrade. You feel like they upgraded from you. And you go through that for a short period of time. And then once you start to kind of let that kind of emotions drop, that jealousy or whatever drop, you start to look at them and think, what is it that he really saw in her or him or whatever. And I would do that. I would say, well, okay, at first I thought, gosh, what did she have that I didn't? What did she give to him that I couldn't? Does she make more money than me? She owns her own home. She didn't have to worry about paying rent. She has a better job than me, whatever, And you feel that kind of pang of jealousy and resentment. But then a little while into it, you start to breathe and you start to realize that you are being irrational. And you start to look at them and you start to think, what is it that he really went after her for? And in my case, I say that he went after her for a home, because she did own her own home and she did have a decent job. So I thought, okay, but keep in mind, I have to keep repeating this and retelling this for anyone new. He didn't leave me and go straight to her. He left me. We split up. He discarded me and went back into the relationship with the woman he had been with before, who he had talked about as this horrible person and how she mistreated him and was mean and cruel to him and all the lies that he told me in order to make me feel this empathy and sympathy and attachment toward him. And he went right back over there to her. And he said it was because of the child, and he said he did it because he wanted to, give the child a home and all the bullshit lies that they tell. But, and then I would ask myself, well, if she was so horrible, I must have been even more horrible, because he chose to go back to her over me, who he had built me up to be this wonderful, just perfect soulmate, and then all of a sudden he drops me and goes running back to her. And I allowed my mind, the injury that I had in my mind from all this trauma, I allowed myself to believe that it was because of the child, when in reality it was because he wanted to pad his pockets. He didn't want to pay child support. He didn't want to go through all that court stuff. He wanted to control her. And in order to do that, he had to get back into her good graces and control her. So I started thinking rationally about the new woman. And when I started to really look at her, I saw what it was that he saw in her. She wasn't as attractive, and I know that, like I said, that sounds conceited. But to look at her appearance, she doesn't have the best teeth, and her skin is like, I don't know. I don't want to sit here and just like badmouth her, but she isn't as attractive. And I'm sorry if some people say, well, maybe you're not attractive. Maybe I'm not. But when I look at her, I say it wasn't her looks that he was going for. But then other people might have said that about me. They might have said, well, he downgraded from the other one before her, and she was a downgrade. And then this new one is even more of a downgrade. I personally don't see it that way, but that's just me. But it was because I think she had been already through one abusive relationship prior to him. And he kind of came in at a time when she was vulnerable, the way he did me. And he came in at a time when she was maybe at a low point in her life, the way he did me. So I started to see her differently than just this, better than me person. I started to see her as someone similar to me as far as the reasons why he targeted her. And for whatever reason that they split up, and she took him back and took him back and took him back at least 3 or 4 times. Now, I know everybody's wondering, well, why are you talking about this? Well, I'll probably put this video on YouTube as well, because it does go to my personal story. But the body shaming and the talking about how they treat you and make you feel so bad about yourself. I started talking a little bit more about the past on my recent YouTube channel because of some events about body shaming and about when people use you and they try to take everything they can get from you. And I'm not just talking about money, which they will take that too if it's offered, or if they think that you're willing to give it, they'll take it. They'll take everything from you. A narcissist will take every bit of dignity and self-respect and worthiness that you have of yourself, self-worth. They will take your self-esteem, and they will take whatever they can physically from you if you give it to them. And that's one of the reasons why I was talking about this in this last video that I made for YouTube, which was a little more personal. Is because at the time that it was happening, he was making me feel so unworthy and like I was just this really horrible partner to him, that I wasn't giving to him to fulfill his needs, without getting too graphic. But I know now that it was because he wanted control over me. And had I given in to him, he would have had that control. And it would have been something he would have used to demean me and devalue me and make me feel even lower self-esteem. That's just what narcissists do. Now, whatever happened between AKD and CMC and all that, whether anything happened or not, or whether it's a ploy and a game that the two of them have come up with to throw everybody off and to make everybody think and to make everybody talk the way we all have been about whether this really happened or whether it didn't. You know, this whole split. My advice to AKD is, if you haven't split from her, get going. If you're playing a game, you can't win a game against a narcissist, and you can't win a game with a narcissist. Because even if it is a game and the two of you have come up with this scheme to try to make everybody think that you're not talking and you're not hanging out together and you're not friends anymore, she'll turn it around to look bad on you, and she will use you, and she will find ways to... This is one reason why I think that the whole thing is kind of made up, because CMC wouldn't have been able to have controlled herself this long. She would have let fly some stuff already, you know. But anyway, I do appreciate everybody who took the time to go over to YouTube and watch my videos. And I'm going to try to start getting back into a little bit more of the ongoing healing and recovery from narcissism and not backtrack so much. But every once in a while I do kind of go back in and tell a little bit about that time and the way that he treated me, so that other people who are going through it, or maybe didn't even realize what they had gone through. Maybe they went through something similar and they still don't know what it was, you know. If it helps somebody, if it helps somebody to heal from trauma or from, and there are people who say, you know, just get over it. It was a bad breakup. It was a bad relationship. Just get over it and get on with your life. Boy, don't you think all of us would really love to be able to do that? Everybody who's been the victim of a narcissist goes through, and we don't even know it at the time that it's happening to us. We don't have a name to put with it while it's happening to us. It's not until later when we start to allow our brain to start to heal. It's just like with any other injury. You know, if you break your arm or you break your leg, you have to kind of heal, you have to lay around. You don't really get to go out and do the same things you did before. You got to just kind of take it easy and give your body time to heal from this injury. And it's the same way with a brain injury. And I know a lot of people will say, well, it's not really a brain injury, but it is kind of, it's a trauma injury. It's really not, I don't want to compare it to rape or anything, but it's sort of the same intention. Rape is really, a lot of people, so rape is really not so much about sex as it is about control and about being able to take what you want, what that person wants, to fulfill themselves and to make that victim feel pain and shame. And that's exactly what a narcissist does to their victims. So it's something similar, and it takes a while to come to terms with it. It takes a while to heal from it. And because, you know, talking about narcissism, birds of a feather flock together, you know. People who've been through similar mistreatment and similar experiences kind of all find each other. And that's kind of what these awareness pages on Facebook are about CMC, is to bring all these victims together. And you maybe haven't even been a victim of her, but of someone else who stole from you or manipulated you or scammed you out of your money. And you find these pages as a way to kind of find a kind of a group of people who can kind of understand. And that's how these pages are really about. My page, I don't even consider myself to be an awareness page. Mine's more of an opinion page, because I just talk, I give my opinion, I turn my phone on and I yak and I jabber. And sometimes I get long-winded like right now. But I appreciate everybody who does take the time to listen. And hopefully I don't get banned again for something that I say or do. But if I do, I will make another page and come back. Like I said, if anybody has any good suggestions for a name, just let me know. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day.